Okay, this is part 2 of our review sheet. We're going to do 17 through all the way to the end, hopefully. Question number 17, what's the sum and the product of the roots? Will the sum and the product come from a particular formula? The sum of the roots is negative b over a, and the product is c over a. And all you do is fill them out. So you take a, b, and c. This of course is a, this of course is b, this of course is c. And just pick the choice that matches. 18. If 2 plus I and 2 minus I are roots of the equation, what's the value of c? And so you're given 2 roots. Take a look at the information that you've gotten, right? And let's try and see if we can figure out what the value of c is. Well, we have 2 roots. We're asked for c. Let's use the product. Take the 2 roots, multiply them together. You get that the answer is 5. Let's go find the product. Well, the product of the roots should be 5. The equation for the product of the roots is c over a. You know that a is 1, so c has got to be 5. Choice D. 19. The accompanying diagram, right? The accompanying diagram, we got to find the graph that matches up. Well, the first thing you have to do is you cannot enter these equations into your calculator unless they are y is on one side and everything else is on the other side. So that's what I did in each individual case. Then, let's talk about what the symbols mean for a sec. Right? This is read y is less than the quantity x minus 2 squared plus minus 3. It's less than because the pointy tip is pointing towards it. If y is less than, you have to shade downwards. Take a look at another case, right? The pointy tip is pointing away. The open part of this symbol right here is going towards the y, and so y is greater than this quantity. If y is greater than the quantity, you have to shade up. Now let's use our calculator to try and figure out which one matches. Well, you can automatically eliminate 2 choices, this one and this one, because they both involve shading up, and our graph has the shaded territory downwards. So it must be a choice of whether it's A or B. Grab your calculator, let's see which one matches, right? All you have to do is enter it in, turn your calculators on. Let's plug whichever example. I'm going to put the one that actually works into our calculator to save time. Negative, sorry, let me clear it out. Negative x minus 2 squared plus 3. And in order to shade down, go all the way over to this territory over here, hit enter, and change it so it looks like that. Hit the graph button. You should get a graph that matches what's on that screen. Choose that one. You know, question 20 is just a duplicate of question 19. Not the same exact question, but something very similar to it. In this particular case, look, the shaded territory is up, so we can automatically eliminate A and B, right? I'm sorry, we can automatically eliminate B and C because these would be shaded down. And then it would be just a matter of whether it's A or whether it's C. Plug them in, find which one matches. Express in simplest form in terms of I. You know, there is no way to do this in the calculator because, number 1, it's a short answer question. And number 2, the answer to it is an irrational number because of this rad 3. Let me show you what I mean. I mean that if you actually tried to plug this into your calculator, you'd get the following answer. Ooh, I forgot. Let me make sure I'm in A plus BI mode. I am. Hit enter, and you get that one. Nope, it's not going to work. So the only way that we can attack it is by actually showing out all of the work. Negative 2/5. The I underneath the radical, the negative underneath the radical comes, breaks out in front as an I. Then you simplify 75. 75 breaks down to rad 25, rad 3. Square root of 25 is 5, and then you reduce. 2/5 of 5 is 2. That's the answer. All right, let's do evaluate and simplify. Also, this is something your calculator cannot do because the answer is an irrational number. And I chose this on purpose because in order to do the problem, you actually have to show that you know how to do it out by hand. Distribute the negative inside, release the parentheses. Okay, so then you got minus 4, minus 4i, rad 6, and then all you have to do is combine like terms. These two go together, these two go together for the final answer of 2 minus 6i radical 6. What's the multiplicative inverse? The multiplicative inverse is just the flip of the original. You see, because the original is 3 minus 2i over 1. The multiplicative inverse is 1 over 3 minus 2i. But you can't have I in the denominator, and the only way to get rid of it is by multiplying both top and bottom by the conjugate. This can be done in your calculator, right? Just plugging in. Let me show you what I mean. Let's do the bottom in our calculator real quickly. 3 minus 2i, 3 plus 2i is 13. And then the top is obviously 3 plus 2i. So that's where I get this answer from. (24), graph the vectors, right? Graph the vectors of 4 plus 3i and negative 2 plus 2i and the vector of their sum. On top, you'll see me just finding the sum here. All I do is add them together, and you get 2 plus 5i. And then over here, you're seeing me graph them. The red is 4, right? You always start at the origin when you have to graph these vectors. And you're going to go over 4 units, and then you're going to go up 3 units. That's 4 plus 3i. For the other one, it's going to be negative 2, go negative 2 this way, and then we're going to go up 2i. And then finally the sum is in blue. I went over 2, started at the origin, went over 2, all the way up to 5i. You'll also notice that I put arrow tips at the end. You have to do that with these because these are vectors. Determine the solution to the following system of equations. So here you have two system of equations, and if you tried to graph them, they would look like this. Sorry about that. This over here is the equation of a line, and this is the equation of a parabola. And the 2 points of intersection are the answers to this problem. You're going to have to give your answer as a coordinate. So let's take a look. We're going to use substitution for trying to solve this. Since they both equal y, I'm going to take 6 minus x, and since 6 minus x equals y, I'm going to sub it in right here. That's where I did that. That's what I'm doing over here. Then, since there are no more y's, isolate x to one side, in other words, set it equal to 0, and factor, right? Greatest common factor of x squared minus 5x is x, and this is what's left over after you take x out. And solve each of these individually. The whole point of you doing this is because, well, a very smart mathematician a very long time ago figured out that a property of 0 is that whenever you multiply anything by 0, you always get 0. So if only you know what values make this one 0, then you automatically are able to solve the problem and figure out the solution without having to guess at what makes this side equal to that one. In any event, to make a long story short, all you do is set equal to 0 and solve. Okay, so you get x is equal to 0 and x is equal to 5. There's a y coordinate that goes along with these x's. Take this x, plug it back into one of the original equations, doesn't matter which one. I happen to choose the top one because it was the easiest to plug into. And find which one works. Sorry, find the y value that goes with it. So take 5, plug it in, you get 1. Finally, here's your answer. The coordinates that are the answer are 0, 6, and 5, 1. All right, 26. 26. Write an equation in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0 if the sum of the roots is 5/8 and the product of the roots is 2. Okay. So the sum of the roots, well, the sum of the roots they told you was 5/8, and the formula for the sum of the roots is negative b over a. So a equals 8, and b has got to be equal to negative 5. Now the product of the roots is 2. Okay, so 2 equals c over a. You know that a is 8. What must c be so that this fraction over here reduces down to being 2? Obviously, c's got to be 16. And since c is 16, all you do is fill out the original equation, write it down, and you're done. Oh, what happened? Let's see for a minute. Was that 20? 26 and 25 got flipped. I'm sorry about that. So 25. If one root of the equation 2y squared plus bx minus 12 equals 4 is 4, find the other root. Okay, so here's what you do, right? First, let's write down what exactly it is that we've been given in this particular problem. We've been given some weird equation. I write that down. We've been told that one of the roots is 4, and we're being asked for the other root. Well, you're looking at the problem and you're like, well, I wonder how I do it. They gave me all of these. I've been given C and I've been given A, and oh wait, that's the product of the roots. So the product of the roots must be negative 6. Oh, the product of the roots is negative 6. I know what one of the roots is. It's 4. 4 times something must be negative 6 because, you know, that's what the product of the roots means. What happens when they multiply to be together? Divide both sides by 4. And root 2 must be negative 3 divided by 2. (28). 28. Okay, so you got to figure out what values of x solve that problem. Let's split it up. Let's split it up. So split the things in parentheses up, set them equal to 0. We talked about why you do that a little bit before. Factor them. This side factors real easy. This is just the difference of two perfect squares. And solve it. So this side over here is worth 1 point and 1 point, so 2 points. Now, the other side. If this side is real easy to factor, this side must be real difficult. In fact, it's impossible to do that out in your head. You have to use either completing the square or quadratic formula. And everybody seems to like quadratic formula. So let's just do it that way, right? A is 1, B is 3, C is negative 6. Write down the equation. Let's fill it out. All of this work over here is worth 1 point. And then your ability to reduce it down correctly is also worth the final point. All 4 of these answers, because plus or minus, this is really 2 answers in 1. This is the answer to the question. All 3 of these, if you sub them in, all 4 of these, I'm sorry, this, and plus or minus this. When you put them in up over here, we'll make it go to 0. For 29, we're going to hold off to the next one because we're running out of time. So please see part 3 if you would like to see more. If you would like to see this one done.